Today's guest lives at the intersection of craft, chaos, and conviction. He's a chef who does not just cook food, but questions ingredients, pricing, kitchen culture, and the stories we tell ourselves about what good food should cost and why. From professional kitchens in Mingaluru to conversations that spark debate across the internet, Viveq Pawar has built a reputation for honesty in an industry that often chooses comfort over truth. He calls himself a nonconformist chef, but that label barely captures it. What he really represents is a generation of chefs who think beyond recipes, chefs who care about sourcing, sustainability, realism, and respect for the craft behind every plate. This conversation is not just about food trends or viral dishes, but it is about what it actually takes to run a kitchen, price a menu, and stay principled in a system that constantly rewards shortcuts. Welcome to the Backbench, Vivek.
Thank you so much. Lovely, lovely introduction. I've never heard about myself like this. But I'm honored. Very, very, very nice introduction.
So I'll start off by asking you a question we ask all of our guests. Were you a backbencher?
Oh, yeah. Second row from the back.
Perfect.
Always, I've always been that. Our school was a little. One, it's of course the first benchers are always the top guys. And we were in school just to do time pass, man, like, to be very honest. I was very non-conformist student also. In that sense.
So Vivek, before you were a chef and back when you were a student, who were you trying to become and how did food end up choosing you?
Well, it's an interesting story. So I come from a family of freedom fighters, cops, people in army, navy. So I've always been around people like that. My father was in the police force. My mom was in the police force. My mom was in CID. My father was he retired as assistant commissioner, but then he was also in a branch of CID. Then they were in airport securities and everything. So I, because I come from that background and thanks to border, and my dad's uncle, he was a squadron leader. So the first time, like that time, I did not know that government quarters was a thing, right? So when I had visited his farmhouse, or rather where he used to stay, it was like a big mansion. They did not have to go out. Ration was delivered at home, and ration was like bloody good ration. It was like great quality eggs, bread, milk, cream cheese, cheese spreads, anything and everything that was there was delivered. So I was also, this is a good field to be in. You should either be in military, because I asked them, who pays for all of this? The government pays for all of this. Then they're like, oh, nice. That's that's somewhere that I have to be at. So I always wanted to join the army. Then food, in a way, very, very interestingly happened that, so like I mentioned, my mom that time was with Pune Airport Securities. So she used to catch a train at, say, somewhere around 4 in the morning to reach to Pune, and then do her entire shift and come back. So before she used to go for work, she used to make like 4 meals at a go, and then she used to go for work. So I never realized that food had a distinct aroma. So when I used to come back from school, one of my neighbors was a godmother. She was a Mallu. One on my right was Gujarati. So there was always, during these meal times, there was a brilliant aroma that always used to come. And I was always amazed by it. So one day I asked my mother that, why does our house not smell the same? Uh, because I was usually eating cold food, right? And my mom very nicely told me that, uh, why don't you learn? Because I don't have that time. If you like eating good food, just start cooking it. And that is how, honestly, it began. That's food found me. Then what I earlier thought was validation from my father, later now I look back and realize that he just wanted someone to make him chai. Or when his friends used to come over just to like show off, my kid's like 6 years old, but he can make chai, can make Maggie. I started making dal chawal when I was 7, 8, aloo ka sabzi. So basic things like that. So when my mom is like, at least if something happens, because bai was never a concept that we had. So this guy can at least not die of hunger. If anything happens, he can just cook basic food and get away with it. So we were all taught कि ये line तक you put rice, then ये line तक you put water. So that's how I've been trained since then. And the validation that you used to get, because people are amazed that यार बच्चे ने चाय बनाया. And then that hook for validation just kept on increasing and increasing and increasing. And yeah, that's what
So
happened.
would it be safe to say you were like a child prodigy since back then?
Yeah, prodigy of whom is the question. But in a way, yeah, like I learned from street carts, basic things. But cooking always excited me that way because
Yeah.
you could create something and then people will instantly validate it for you and task done. You don't have to wait for like an exam after 20 days for results in school. It's like, abhi bana hai, abhi hoga. So that is how it all started, and it's always been the same.
So what was your first, like where was your first job basically?
Um, so my first was aisa agar if you look at a job when I was a kid was so I always used to love this thin Bombay style dosas. Um, those are very particular, which in Bombay the dosa wala is called the Gujarati style dosas,
Yeah.
honestly. Because there they add rava, they'll add methi and besan and everything to make it that crispy.
Massacre the dosa basically.
Yeah,
Massacre the dosa.
yeah, massacre the dosa. But for us, that was the dosa, dude. To be very honest, dosa laden with butter and everything. So I always liked to have that. My brother one day, and we never had that kind of money, right? So one day my brother like, "Come, I will take you for a treat." And he took me to this dosa cart near a garden that we had. And there's the first time in my life I had onion uttapa for 12 bucks with butter. And then I realized that my mom is scamming us by feeding us something called an onion uttapa, which doesn't taste like this. And that got me excited. So again, mom's like, go and learn. So I had gone into tuition classes, and just besides the tuition classes, used to be this dosa cart. So for like 2 weeks, I just used to stand there and stare at him. And that guy, after 2 weeks, he just called me and he's like, "Are you hungry? Do you want to eat? Why do you keep staring like this?" I'm like, "No, I want to learn how do you make dosas like this." And he was also amazed. I was like, "Garib to lagta nahi hai, to why do you want to do this?" So I was like, "Because I like eating this, dude." I don't know. So then he was also like, "Okay, fair, come on over." So after my tuition, I used to go and work at the cart. So he taught me everything, right from seasoning the tawa to how to make the batter. And my fees was one dosa of my choice, which as a kid was everything with cheese
Yeah.
and all the masala and all the spices possible. Like in Bombay, till date, my favorite dosa is the Mysore masala dosa with sabzi on side. Because then you get to eat the thanda nariyal ka chutney also and this also. That's when I actually realized that if you have seen those cards, they carry the chutneys in that SS barni, right? And how they do it, they'll just make a thick paste out of it and then they'll put a block of ice inside it. So from the chutney that comes out from their house to the time it will reach the cart for another 1 hour for the cart to get assembled, the consistency automatically matches the watered down thing and the chutney also doesn't get spoiled. And that I realized this entire thing 3 weeks back when I'd ordered dosa on Swiggy, and the chutney, when till the time it reached me, was fermenting. It was a thick paste, but then I realized, oh, this is the bloody idea for them to do that. Earlier, I only thought they just wanted to keep it cold because it's hot and cold always was a very interesting combination. So that was my first job, and then from that, I was also very fascinated on how the Bhelpuri guys used to make cones. So during my school vacation, I used to go to play PlayStation for like $5 for half an hour. You remember you used to have those PlayStation
Cyber
parlors, right?
cafes, right?
Yeah, cyber cafes, but then cyber cafes later became like small gaming rooms for PS2 because that was the
Okay.
most cracked version possible in the market. So they used to attach like a hard drive and we all used to do that. So uske baju mein we had a chaat guy. So with him, I learned how he made ragda, how he made pani puri ka pani, how they folded cones. That was like a big deal for me. So started from there. Then got into hotel management college. Did that. Was working during college as well. We used to do a lot of kitchen ODCs, where they used to call us for like 6 hours. Basically, job is to chop onions, cook rice. They just wanted hands. to be that. And so we used to do a lot of that. And then I interned with the Taj Mahal Palace. Then I joined Lalit Hotels. And I joined Lalit Hotel as a management trainee, but very soon, like in 3 months, I realized that that is not what I wanted to be, because in five-star hotels, what happens is they'll get you in as a management trainee, uh, but they're going to expose you to a lot of things on how a hotel actually functions. Because in hotel management colleges, they'll just blatantly tell you either service or chef. Nobody's interested in going into housekeeping. Nobody's interested in front office. So that's not that exciting of an appeal. F&B service also not that many people, because there's a stigma of being a waiter that was always there. And the honest reality is, you have your IHMs, which are like the polished crowds, and then you have private catering colleges. I was one of them in the private catering colleges. So there it's usually the rejects who could never get into any other college because they're like 40%, 42%. A lot of the crowd was that from, I think, from Dombivli or from Kalyan. For them, even communicating in English used to be a task. But just because a kid wants to have a degree, the parents used to push them, so at least do hotel management, we'll figure something out. So there is when we never had any idea. And when we became a management trainee, so they'll train you across all departments, and then at the course end, which is usually for 2 years, then they will also be gauging you on how you're performing in all of those departments. And then, honestly, not a lot of times it happens that you will get a department of your choice. They will end up convincing you to join the department which needs employment during that time. And when I realized this entire system, I was like, I don't want to do this, because they, for my first month, they put me into security, man. So I was outside Lalit Hotels wearing blazer and everything, scanning people, looking at the X-ray baggage machines. Ki, oh, this is what is goes in, this is what goes in. Then we were made to do a shift outside the nightclubs. Then we were made to do the roundups. But the roundups actually taught me the amount of infrastructure that goes behind it. Like, the most dreadful walk of a security guy is to the STP tank, because it's the most smelliest place, it's the most dingiest, there's no lights in that place, and that literally makes you feel like you're in a horror movie. And five-star hotels usually have a lot of these ghost stories happening in and around, so it just scares the hell out of you. And then your supervisor also going to pull your leg like that. So they first put me into securities, then they put me into housekeeping. And they're like, what the hell am I doing? I don't want to do that. I want to cook, man. Just make me do kitchen. Why do you want? Because I'm very clear in my head. I don't want to do anything else. But they're like, no, see, it's a process. It's that. Then after that, I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this. I will switch. And there also very interesting thing that I realized is, for a five-star hotel, for an executive chef to do anything, right? You have to go like 24 clearances, because it's a very big brand and you're going to change something and it's going to impact the brand image and everything and everything. तो वो सीईओ तक उसके पास जाएगा, या मैनेजमेंट डायरेक्टर के पास जाएगा, डायरेक्टर ऑफ ऑपरेशंस के पास जाएगा. तो then you'll have to have those approvals from all of them. Like, you won't even have a power in you to change one variety of tea that your restaurant starts selling with. You don't even have the power of that. You might have a lot of bureaucratical power inside the infrastructure, where they will of course train you on how to run business and how to manage it. But then that is that. There was only a time where legendary chefs like Hemant Oberoi and these guys were there, because the boost of the Indian hospitality sector also happened during that time. So he was one of the few fortunate ones that I know of, that they had this restaurant in Taj Mahal Palace where the plates were from Versace, dude. And we are like, why? Why is there a plate of Versace in a restaurant? And that was called, if I'm not wrong, it was called the Chef Studio. But it was very interesting. So that time they were that Chef Hemant Oberoi will be cooking, and there is a camera that is showing what he's cooking. There's a screen that's presenting what he's been cooking, and it's like only for 25 covers. And that time, I think some 25 or 30,000 was like per cover charge. So it's only like Barack Obama's, and when all of them will come down, they will have an entire spread there. But uske baad, it's just a bureaucratical game. And I was also inspired by Marco Pierre White and Anthony Bourdain and Gordon Ramsay. So there's when I realized, restaurants is where you will be able to develop more skill per se. So that time I decided to flip. But Indian industry, I think the only established restaurant that was there was Massive Restaurants, where Zorawar Kalra had come back again and he was changing this entire system and how it was working. So it was just that, but getting into that was very difficult. So in the meantime, I got an offer from one of the reality TV shows who were into food, and I was like, okay, let's explore this option as well on what goes behind making a food reality show. And that is when I got to meet the Ranveer Brar and Vikas Khanna and Sanjeev Kapoor. And just by like spending time with them and asking them and trying to understand that, because Ranveer Brar was an ex-hotel chef. He went to US, worked at restaurants, so he had exposure of both the worlds. Chef Sanjeev Kapoor was a pioneer right from teaching the country how to cook to being earlier an ex-hotel chef, then starting his own chain of restaurants. Chef Vikas Khanna again had just 3 or 4 years before that he had gotten his Michelin star. So all of them had seen the entire culinary forum in that ways across the world. So then by interacting with them, I realized, what I'm thinking is right. Restaurants will actually teach you better. Hotels will, of course, teach you processes and SOPs. It's not that hotel jobs are bad, but every every ecosystem has a purpose. Now the question is, what purpose do you want to fulfill? Because hotel chefs is like lifestyle, it's grandeur, and you will never like talk about like you're never going to face problems that your hotel kitchen has not got onion. Restaurants face that problem day in day out. You not get supplies on time, you don't get anything on time. In restaurants, sadly the reality is nothing is in your control. The market has the entire supremacy. um, you might say that your vendor should deliver it at 11, but there's no guarantee, there's no accountability. Whatever has happened, what has not happened, that you don't face in five-star hotels. Five-star hotels has very different challenges on its own. Restaurants is very hardcore into it, is what I realized. And then got into restaurants, ran one of the most famous burger restaurants of Bangalore. Ran one of the most burger. Okay, we'll relook this. After I did that TV show, then I joined one of the most famous burger brands of Bombay back then, called Between Breads in Bandra. So it was a very small 25 cover burger restaurant, but you used to do kick-ass burgers. Like we were featured in the top 35 places to have burgers in India back then. And we were doing all bonkers like 10-ounce buff burger and just a 50 menu of kick-ass sandwiches, burgers, shakes, and desserts. So we did dessert sandwiches. So I had a dessert burger there, which was very interesting. It's like a molten chocolava patty inside, and you had sweet brioche buns. And to replicate fries, we used to make sweetened hunkered and used to batter fry them with breadcrumbs. So it was like an entire dessert burger platter. So we used to do banger shit back then. And after that, I moved to Jaipur, did the country's first plated Sattvic cuisine restaurant, very, way ahead of its time. And like in Jaipur, dhaba culture was very prevalent back then. So, and we did like very interesting things. So we did a jalapeno kachori, but we, instead of serving it with curry, we did our own variant of Thai curry with whatever we had in and around. But imagine without onion, without garlic. The limitations that we went through is insane. And we also used to eat sattvic food because staff will also eat the same thing. We tried our luck, but then 8 months down the lane, the owner was like, it's not working here. Um, Families would still require gravy. So why don't you do 10 Sattvic Indian gravies? So I was like, fair. Now the irony is those 10 gravies made more money than this well thought menu. And then the owner was, now we started using dosas and idlis and this and that. And then he was right because he was a business owner. But then I was a young, brash, uh, dreamy kid. Then I was like, if I have to make this, I'll get paid more in Bombay. Why should I do this in Jaipur? So then I packed my bags, came to Bombay. Then a week later, I got a call. Bangalore used to have this restaurant called Barley's back in the day. It was one of the first 10 microbreweries that Bangalore had. So got a job offer to be an executive chef there. And that's how I came to Bangalore. And it's been now 12 years. I have not left Bangalore. Bangalore has always called me somewhere or the other back.
I have a question before Chiran takes
Hmm.
over. So you mentioned when you start when we just started that your both your parents and your family at large has been like in the government sector and primarily with like defense.
Right.
How did they react when you said that, hey, listen, I don't want to go down that path, but I want to pursue like a culinary. I want to pursue like F&B and culinary is like my career option.
Well, honestly, it was both my mom and dad were very supportive.
Okay.
My father actually was the one who pushed me into becoming a chef. I had chosen to be a CA because of peer pressure,
Yeah.
and I wanted to be with my friends and chill out with them. So my father, in his head, was very clear that this guy will become a chef. But then, beach mein, I was like, no, I want to do CA. In his head, in his head, he knew I was not that smart enough. But then he also wanted to support it. So he very bluntly told to my face back then that you can do it if you want to, but just think about it. Nothing is impossible, but think. I was like, no, no, I've thought I want to be a CA. Like, fair. Uh, then one day, once in his, we call it drinking and gyan sessions. So during that, he just looked me in my face and he told me that you're the biggest idiot that I've seen in my life. Like, why is that? Like, you like cooking. Why the hell are you doing this? And I was like, because you paid money for this now. Now there's no take back seas. He's like, who told you? Do what you want to do. As well, for 3 pegs down, he was very nice. So that's like fair. But then he told me then, but now you have to get educated on your own money, take a loan and do it. So my mom had put her FD um, in a bank as a collateral and got me the education fees, and then I repaid it to her back. But they were very supportive because my father wanted, he loved geography, so he wanted to become a professor. My mother wanted to become a nurse, but back then the system was so that there was a huge dearth of manpower in the police force. So this was like a lottery system. So the only qualification needed to have was you have to be 12th pass, and they will start paying you right from you join as a cadet. So you will get a stipend. I think some hoga some 100 rupees or 200 rupees back then. And they were all very poor that ways, if that's the right word. Um, so they were like घर पे पैसा चाहिए, and to go into these colleges you need fees. Now the house does not have money, so okay, get yourself enrolled as a cadet and start sending money home. So they were always like that, that if we could not do it, we would want our kids to do it. So very luckily they were like all into it, no questions. One day it so happened that I was interning at Taj Mahal Palace, and he came wearing his uniform, and he just looked at me like this, and I was like, because he was like, I'm not telling anyone you're my kid, all right? He was like, they were very happy that. So my brother's also a stand-up artist. I chose this, so we are insanely creative like that. They allowed us to be that, to be very honest.
So, early professional kitchens can be unforgiving. What did discipline and pressure teach you about yourself that no book or class ever could?
Hmm. Let's say professional kitchens will teach you only one thing: there is no excuses. There's nothing. Um, if a task has to be completed, it has to be completed. You cannot stand there and blame on anything. Does not matter it is in your hands or not. But if somebody has trusted you with doing a job, then you have to bloody get it done. Like, dude, we have stolen French fries because there was a insane budget cut. while we were interning at the Taj, and French fries was the highest bought commodity. So the executive chef just slashed it. Like, it worked, but the slashing was from 100 kgs to say 30. So like, what are you going to do? So we used to have like 3-4 different style of coffee shops there. So everyone would get some limited amount of French fries, and we were interns, dude. So nobody bothered. So our executive chef used to tell, the only thing that you're going to do is go and arrange French fries. So because as interns, we were like a batch of 12 from the same college. So every kitchen had a friend. And then you used to go, then you have to patafy them. It can be a bloody steward, it can be anyone. Anyone. You have to talk to them, cajole them, do whatever is in your power to bloody get that French fry because your exec chef has told you to get French fry. So right from there, it taught me dependability, that if somebody is leaning on you, you don't lean back. You hold them and you're like, okay, you can lean on me. So it's much more, so this entire brigade has been developed like a military regime. If you go and look at it, it is very similar in terms of performance. It's extremely heavy pressure, um, and they'll put you through a heavy grind. Like when people say you work for like 14 hours or 16 hours, there's one set of people that will always complain. But then there are people like us who, over a period of time, realize why that was important. Not to glorify it, but to realize the value of it on what it taught you. Because now, once when you reach the top of the ladder, is when you realize, okay, why was this done? Because then you're like, okay, the world can throw anything at me and I can figure out a solution like this, rather than not crumble under the pressure. So that is what taught me, that is what the professional kitchen taught me, that never say no to anything, never bow down to anything, never crumble under pressure. And it's completely okay to fail, but just own up. Like, I remember I had ruined 50 liters of milk, and we had a we had a party happening, and I was in charge of making the milk for rasmalai. Or fat gaya, dude. What will you do? Uh, I must have not looked at an expired milk packet. Something went wrong, or the vessel mein kuch rahega, kuch to hua, and that milk curdled. And the mithai guy was just furious, and I was. You know, the mithai guy was from 4.5, and I was 6. And फट गया था मेरा dude. I was like, मरा रे. ज़्यादा है अभी. This fucker so furious at me, and now I don't know what's going to happen. And I just started trembling, and this guy started bashing left, right, and center. And that is when the main kitchen ka executive chef came. And it was a very nice, cute, short-heighted, bald guy with this big mustache. And क्या हो गया? जब मिठाई का ऐसा दूध फाड़ दिया इसने, वो क्या करेगा? मैं like, दूध ही फटा है ना. कितना है? There are 50 liters. Just called the store guy नीचे. Do you have milk? Then नहीं, हमारे पास तो नहीं है. Then he had a very close friend in the pastry department. So आपके पास है? हाँ, अमूल गोल्ड है हमारे पास. भेज रहे, बच्चे ने फाड़ दिया दूध. Like, there was this guy at this level who just lost his shit. That now what he's going to do, because he's accountable for that. Because he comes from that mindset ki I'm going to get screwed by the executive chef on this, because I was not supposed to do it, honestly. My job in that kitchen was to chop vegetables. But he was like, मेरा काम आसान करेगा इसको. Then they'll give you that goalie, I'll train you on something. Basically labor he wants you to do, but then it's upon you if you want to learn or not. So I just saw these two stark differences. That problem ho gaya. So going to stand there and get frustrated over it, or move on, man. Big deal. That is what kitchens teach you. That's one thing which I really wish a lot of my friends from different backgrounds understand. Because so now shit has happened. What will you do? So work alongside with it.
So Indian food is often treated as sacred and untouchable.
Hmm.
When did you begin feeling that too much reverence can sometimes limit growth?
Well, this happened where I very soon realized that, see, it does not matter if you make the world's best dal makhni on a technical note. But if it's not selling, it's not selling. See, there's a reason why every food item tastes different where you have it. So like a pav bhaji in Bombay will taste very different, but a pav bhaji in Bangalore tastes extremely opposite. But for a guy like for a guy who's from Bombay, when he'll come and eat a pav bhaji here, he'll be like, dude, this is not pav bhaji. But then that guy's been selling there for 20 years and making money, and people in Bangalore are sticking by it, that this is the quality, this is the taste. So then is when you realize that there is no set method. We are always going to cook for people to like it. So take Bangar Pet charts for example. Like I was blown away when I saw life my first time a clear pani puri water, because we are used to that green thing, and I'm like, okay. But I was also like, so this is a theory which I don't know if it's real, but this is how I think must have happened. That in Bombay, they do ragda with pani puri.
Yeah.
Right? Might be someone back then came here. Bangalore has hara watana, the dried one. It does not have the white watana. So instead of making ragda, they ended up making the matar ka curry. And then to support that, they made a very khatta imli ka pani, and then you had the clear water. Now, he must have had it in Bombay somewhere. And when he came here, he tried his best with whatever he had. And that was the first time I think chaat happened in Bangalore. And people swear by it. Now it is its own different variant where they will take anything and make it into a chaat. Like the masala puri that you have there is very sukha, but the masala puri you have here, the moment it comes to your plate, it's soggy as hell because everything's hot on that crispy puri, but it has its own thing. The first spoon, I was like, what the hell? But then it made you go for a second, it made you go for a third. So when you see patterns across like this, then you know that there's not a fixed way, because see, how has cooking evolved? Right? Cooking has always been circumstantial. I am here, what I have here, and I'm going to cook from it. Take any dish. Pizza happened like that. Um, Pasta, same. You have, say, salad, same. Greek cuisine, take anything. It happened because it was there. Then people started traveling, and people started traveling, then culture started coming in. So one of the studies that I was doing made me realize that Khauswe actually comes from the Memoni Muslims when they were traveling to Burma. And then when I read that, then I started looking at it that, okay, somewhere the layering of a Khauswe is exactly like how it's for a biryani. If you said it has fresh coriander, it has fried onions, it has fried garlic, um, rice switched to noodles, salan switched to curry. And when you eat that and you squeeze a lime on top, so you have that khatta, meetha, spicy, uh, because garam masala went into the khawswe curry, so you had that aroma as well, right? So that is one story. Then, Japan has a very famous biryani restaurant. Um, I'll tell you the name. I'm not able to get it right now, but this guy comes to India and for 3 months just does research on biryani. And then whatever he finds in Japan, he makes a biryani out of that. And dude, his like specification is कि इंडिया में बिरयानी के साथ लोग थम्स अप पीते हैं या कोक पीते हैं. This guy has a very particular temperature of serving thumbs up and coke in his restaurant. That the beverage will only go well with biryani at this temperature. Right? So this is how cuisine has always evolved. So how can there ever be a fixed way of cooking something? It is, society always believes in bhir chal, so the herd mentality will always continue. And it is also like a skill, right? So when you learn something and people like about it, we would always want to hold it very near and dear to us. It becomes a part of your identity. There's nothing wrong in being proud of that identity. It is also nothing wrong of representing it in its truest form. But times have always changed. If say take, and every legendary chef, for example, take Massimo Bottura. He was a guy, he thought, I'll change how Italian cuisine works, right? And from that very small village in Modena, where for like 2 years, running empty, people were abusing the hell out of him that why are you ruining our cuisine? Why are you ruining our cuisine? From that to being one of the best restaurants in the world, right? It's always that. It's always you have to push that boundaries because, see, any creative person will follow one format and he will get bored of it. The entire essence of creativity is to break boundaries, is to not adjust to what the society wants you to do. It's a form of expression, right? And the older you grow, your mortality becomes more and more clearer. So then a guy who's creative in his truest sense will start challenging this norm, because that's the only last identity he has left to challenge. Because as chefs, we honestly don't give a lot of fucks for the world. We like our own cocoon. We are very happy in that cocoon. We don't care what goes on anywhere else. And so when you limit your life in that, you would always want to fulfill your 100% potential in that. So now, thankfully, that same thing has come to the country where people are trying to break boundaries, because food is always about experiencing something. Now, if you are able to experience the same nostalgia of a pav bhaji, but it does not look like a pav bhaji, then you have discovered a newer way to recollect that memory. And that is what makes it amazing, of eating something and it not being that, and it's still reminding you of that. And when you see you have created this and the person has had it and he has exactly have experienced the same emotion, then you are the Raja of the world, man. You don't care. You are your own then. So that is what has been happening right now, like with restaurants like Bombay Canteen, Savya Rasa, Chef Harish Rao is doing insane with Hosa Goa. Now it is being accepted because people have traveled the world. Now, Junoon, for example, take restaurants with Chef Vineet Bhatia. What they went abroad and they realized, no, this can also be done, right? But you will still keep the flavor ethos the same, but you're just changing the way it looks, or you're changing the way it has to be. But it's still going to rekindle that same memory. And these like Vineet Bhatia, Michelin star, Chef Vikas Khanna, Michelin star, all of his restaurants right now. So they went to very small um, tweezer food to now even their philosophy has changed, where they're serving like how it's supposed to be served. But because they were there, they had that height, and now they've settled. So they have figured their voice. India is now reaching that heights, and we will also come and settle in our own ways. And also the diners are also now expanding. So every type of restaurant has their diners now. That's the most beautiful part. So in Bangalore, take Farm Lore for example, and way before Farm Lore was Grasshopper. Not a lot of people know of grasshoppers, but who knows about grasshoppers swears by that restaurant. Take take Eka in Bombay, again challenging something, and they have their own clientele. Bombay Canteen is challenging, but in a very different, fun way. So they'll serve gravies as gravies. They'll serve this, that. But say take the egg Kejriwal for example. For Chef Floyd Cardos to think about that dish and making it different and breaking down the elements. So it's the same anda, it's the same cheese, it's just made differently. And in what way? Like the bread is heavily buttered and toasted in the oven, so you have that super crisp outside but soft and buttery from inside. Then you have the eggs, then you have the cheese, and cheese like loaded with cheese. Amul processed cheese, ekdam proper, like how Bombay mentality is. But then the spiciness you make chutney slash curry from Bhavnagari chilies, but it still bloody looks like an egg Kejriwal, but very different techniques have been put into the ingredients, and it still bloody tastes the same. So Bombay Canteen has cracked that, and now Chef Hussain is again pushing his boundaries with papas and things. So it's very necessary for food to change, because every art expression has to change. Because up kitne see one to we honestly sadly, like a lot of our cuisines are recorded in Akbarnama. A lot of our cuisines have been brought back to life thanks to Mr. Jigs Kalra, the late Mr. Jigs Kalra, Dr. Pushpesh Pant, who's a food historian, Mariam Rishi, another acclaimed food writer. They have gone beyond and researched on all of this. And then when you read on all of this, you realize कि अरे कहाँ से शुरू हुआ था? Like the biryani, for example, right? Biryani comes from two words, bir and yakhni. So bir means rice, yakhni means stewed meat stew, and cooked together you'll have biryani. So biryani that came from there, it came here. Then the closest to the original biryani is the Muradabadi style biryani. But then the Mughals got it here. They wanted to do it different. Then Itar was introduced to that. Itar was introduced to biryani because Indian meat smell was very strong. So then to cut that, they added Itar. Now from there you come down to south. You have your Kalasari biryanis, you have your Mopla style biryani, and everything is different. Take Done biryani for example. Hands down best biryani I've ever had in my life. I love that biryani. But किसने सोचा था हरा कलर का बिरयानी बनाने? But it's accepted, right? So, but that has stopped in the last 50, 60 years is what I believe. Now it's changing again. It's very crucial that cuisine has to evolve. Yeah, I think that answers your question.
Yeah.
Okay, so you often describe yourself as a non-conformist chef. Who or what are you consciously refusing to conform to?
I say since childhood, I was heavily inspired by Shivaji Maharaj. And bachpan mein to I was in Marathi we call it Mads. Mads means faltu revolt. I was a very faltu revolt since childhood. Whoever said ये नहीं होना चाहिए, I would just go and do it just to understand why should this not happen. I was one of those very harami bachas back then. So here also when I started questioning things, I was always questioning things since childhood as to why if you have made this framework, why does it exist? What is the reason behind it to exist? And we are not that great, which is what I've realized when somebody comes and questions us. We take it very personally, where it's just inquisitiveness that a person has as to why. And that is something that has always attracted me. And then I started realizing, okay, it was again the herd mentality that they have learned like this, so they are doing like this. Nobody's trying to question it. And that is how I started. So, see, in my kitchens, yes, there's pressure, but there is also a conversation always. Like I have 60 people working under me, but I know everything of those 60 people, right from the personal problems to what is happening in their villages. अच्छा गांव पे तो अब छत बांध रहा है. This has happened. Oh, you're facing this problem. Oh, you have become a father. Let's celebrate. This communication never happened when I was in five-star. Right. So just say coming, creating an infrastructure in and around you, challenging how kitchens work. Like in my kitchen, everybody has a hand to do whatever they want. Um, every department will constantly keep on making dishes. The point, and which like earlier they used to get dejected if I was saying, okay, you have to do this better, you have to that better. But slowly they started understanding. And when the cooks who adopted to that, or rather cooks who adapted to that, their dishes started to come on the menu, which made them feel that they have an ownership here, which boosted them. Like a majority of my staff has been KST guys, the kitchen stewarding boys. The oldest I have is Kaka, who has been with me for 12 years now. And that guy can now make phenomenal AVP and standard pizzas, amazing pastas, salads. And that guy had no knowledge of it. But how many chefs do you know who are going to do this for people? Is when I realized that everybody, because working as a chef is going to give you respect in wherever towns you're coming from, right? Rather than अच्छा ये बर्तन साफ करता है इसे अरे ये इतने बड़े रेस्टोरेंट में खाना बनाता है. That gives them a very sense of pride wherever they come from, and that matters to them a lot. So a lot of my major workforces are people from very humble backgrounds. Like one of the boys who works in my fryer section, बेचारा got scammed. He was called here बोल के कि आपको बैंक में नौकरी दे देगा और वो जिसका भरोसे पे आया that guy fucked up. He blocked him and left off. And he's just roaming. So he met one of the UP guys that work in my place. He's like, chef ये है इसको आता नहीं है कुछ पर come from his village now what to do. Yeah. Will you work? Look, this is the work. Will you like it? Like, okay, start working. Now he heads my fryer section.
Wow.
Yeah, so coming to that, not sticking to ratios when it comes to cooking, because Now, this is what also people need to understand, that people take recipes from internet and they make it, and they fail to realize that, one, the source of the recipe. You cannot have an Italian recipe from the Sanna veg. That you cannot do. You'll have to have an Italian recipe from an Italian guy. But then you have to stand there and understand that, dude, these ratios are for the ingredients that are grown there. But if you're going to follow that cut to cut, you have no clue where your produce is coming from here. But then you have to start understanding the culture, the taste palette that they have. And once when you understand taste palettes, it's very easy for anyone to recreate it, right? So because there are only 5 flavors on a tongue. But to give those 5 flavors, there are like 50,000 ingredients. So now this is where your culinary maturity will come in, to understand, this, they have said it's 400 grams, but this is not making it taste nice. So increase it, change it, tweak it, make it palatable for Indian people, or make it palatable for the guests that I'm serving. So that was one of the conformities that I've broken. I am very, very open to critique, very open to critique. The guests at my restaurant, if they tell me that this is not right, I will stand and ask, okay, why do you think, what is this lacking? I can always remake it for you, for your liking, because you're here. I am here to provide you a service through a commodity. Now, if you don't like that commodity, fine. How can I make it better for you? You tell me that. And I've done that for people. Like, there was a guy who, there's a couple who came down from Chandigarh. They ordered a margherita pizza, and they were very upset. So I went to them, okay, what happened? Like, why is this, a pizza has no flavor? I was like, you ordered a margherita. Yeah, इसमें sweet corn नहीं है, इसमें jalapeno नहीं है, इसमें Italian seasoning नहीं डाला है आपने. And I was like, okay, I get it. Okay, what style of pizza do you want? So like, "नहीं, इसमें आप ये डालो, इसमें थोड़ा और taste लाओ. Like, do you want like a exotica veg from Domino's?" He's like, yes, okay, I'll make that for you. It's that simple. You just go and ask, because you've come here, right? You're spending some 650 rupees on a pizza. At least be happy. Then that is how you change. You have to be open to feedbacks. You have to understand why you're doing it. I do it because I love to see people enjoy what they eat at my restaurant. That is why I love this business. And then do it in whatever forms and fashion you can do it for you. Why do you have to be stuck up about it? So it comes to that. Maybe sourcing ingredients. There's a lot of vendors where I directly source from. So like, where everyone will go and buy pasta from, say, a Habit or a Del Monte, or a Barilla. I have found out a person who air dries sunrise pasta in Delhi, called Our Pasta Lab. Very dear friend Ashu, he runs that company. So they do small batch pastas in whatever shapes you want. It's just a little bit more expensive, but it's true to the culture. This guy went to Italy, studied. Uh, he actually knows which grains he's using. The flour milling he does himself. The dyes also he does is, they don't do the metal force dyes. They are bronze cut dyes. So somebody who's put in that much effort to make that for you. Or say capers, for example. Everybody buys bottled capers, but I work with this lady called Fiona, who has a company called Ishka Farms. So do you know, they grow like brilliant capers in Kerala, and the country does not know about it. And they taste way better than the bottled shit that we get, because it's bottled like a year back, and it loses out its flavor. But the capers, you can come at Oxide, make you eat those capers, your mind will be blown. So these, like, actually trying to get the best produce for the guests. That's a conformity that I break. So if in any smaller, uh, every minutest detail possible, if there's something that I can change, I'm a person who will just go and change. Like, I fought with the directors, this entire reel that went famous on the pizza reel that happened, on why the flour that I buy is imported from Italy. The same questions my director also asked, that so many restaurants here, they don't use that. Why do you want to use that? That only because I want to create a change. Because for them also it is, say for example, you'll get a Swiss bake at say 120 a kg or 130 a kg. Or you will get same other premixes flours. But then my problem was, why would you use a German product to do an Italian dish? What sense does it make? If I want to make an Italian dish, I would really like to understand the flour and how different it is. Like you will also have like a lot of restaurants here will use maida from Viveq Agro Foods. Not that it is bad, but it is just a personal choice that I have. That when I can give it best, and I'm charging like 650 for a pizza. यार. तो अंदर ईमान भी तो कुछ चीज़ है ना, that I cannot do this.
Yeah.
So you just explain them the math that even if you buy the best produce, your making cost of a pizza can still be 135 rupees. You're still making money, dude. So let's just make it better, right? So simple things like that. It works. It happens, and it's because I've never worked under a place for a long time, which gives me that freedom. Otherwise, I would have also been the same dude. I'm telling you.
Speaking of, again, like you mentioned, sourcing and again giving the best, what is the most uncomfortable truth people avoid when it comes to food pricing and ingredient quality?
Oi. Okay, you guys are going to get a lot of hate, or rather, I'm going to get a lot of hate for that.
I mean, let's make it as spicy as possible. Podcast kari rahe to mazedar. We'll make it masaledar.
Point. See, the thing is, you have to be honest. Everyone has to be honest and wise enough. The problem is, we still think that our job of paying someone 50 rupees for a save puri, our job is done. Now it's his job that he has to give us the best. Why crazy over? Why? But in 50 rupees, he has to bloody bribe people. He has to buy ingredients. He has to then also make some money from it. How is he going to think? He's going to think like every other Indian कि 30 रुपए का सेव भी मिल रहा है और 20 रुपए का सेव भी मिल रहा है. तो मैं 20 रुपए वाला लेगा ना. When it comes to this price economy, we don't question, okay, पर क्यों है ये difference? कुछ तो होगा उसके पीछे. But no, here we are very naive like that. We say that जगह अच्छा बनाया है, मैं पैसा दे रहा हूँ, तो उसका ईमान तो अच्छा ही होगा. And there we forget this, right? So even if you go to good restaurants, dude, a lot of restaurants use frozen pizza cheese. And these are, for them, they would think that, no, okay, this is imported. But there's a brand called Arla. Dude, their cheese has palm oil in oil. How the hell can cheese have fucking palm oil? How in the world? And just because it's imported, you're thinking it's nice. What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Right? Like shit like this, man. But we don't have an understanding of this at all. We don't question about this. अरे, see, टमाटर को 90 दिन लगता है फसल for it to ripen.
Yeah.
Right? And then you pluck it out, then you store, say, another 10 days for it to hit the market. As a restaurant, people are bloody buying 100 kgs of tomatoes every day. Why are you not questioning कि आ कहाँ से रहा इतना टमाटर? And that is why, like, if you ask your parents, I remember even when I was a kid, dude, tomatoes tasted very different. It had a nice sweetness to it. It had a little bit of acidity to it. Now your tomato looks lal from outside, but you slice it, it's hara from inside.
Yeah.
And it's khatta as hell. It has no character, it has no flavor. But we are okay with it, man. What are you going to do? The restaurants are going to take that shitty tomato and then they are going to take tomato puree, which is again, Golden Crown is the cheapest. And then you have Kisans and all of that there. So you will take a synthetic product, put it in a fresh product to balance the taste. Don't buy a fuck all product, no then. Invest in better product. You will end up cooking it less. You'll end up making it better. Or just use canned tomatoes if you want to, but then just be honest. Like, I vouch for canned tomatoes because those at least bloody taste like tomatoes. Because somebody, किसने तो मेहनत किया है. अभी वो नहीं बोल रहा कि आप किसी सस्ते ब्रांड का कैन टमाटो खरीदो. Like I will only use DOP San Marzano tomato as canned. I won't buy canned tomatoes from India because it's just going to give me the canned shitty product only. Then why should I buy it? Right? But then it will taste like a tomato. Like the pizza workshops that I do that with people. I make them eat it as like, okay, you paste the tomato, now you taste it. Now you add salt, now you taste it. See the impact of what it happens. Close your eyes. Understand if you have that flavor memory in your head. Right? So that purchase parity that people have, the false faith that people have on products and on restaurants. Everybody orders from Swiggy, right? Now, if you go to Hyperpure, you will have a chana which is at 90 rupees a kilo. Is a C grade chana. You'll also have Kabuli chana at 130, 140 rupees a kg. Now, if that restaurant is going to serve you chana masala at 130 rupees, what do you think is going to buy? It's going to buy what is affordable for him. Why is a palm oil sold at, say, just for reference, 75 or 80 rupees a liter, and refined sunflower oil is at 130 rupees a liter? Why that difference? But what do you think? The thelewala who's going to cook there, is he going to use that oil? He's going to use that oil because it's cheaper. He doesn't care. And for him to not care, he does not know. Because we as a bloody society have stopped questioning things. Like for me personally, the green revolution and white revolution has done more damage in the long terms than the benefit that it did during that short term of a time. See, for example, you got in GMO produce here, right? So you got hybrid seeds to give you a faster produce. You got in chemicals and fertilizers to help you giving a faster produce. And why was that needed back then? I completely understand why it was introduced. But it also had to be stopped and it also had to be regulated, which never happened. प्रॉब्लम अच्छा क्वालिटी आलू खाना नहीं था इस देश में. प्रॉब्लम था कि लोगों का पेट भरने. Take Parle-G biscuits for example. I can stand here and talk shit about Parle-G. Because it has palm oil, it has so much of sugar, it has this, it has that. But now if you look at it in the other way, dude, it's a source of energy. Now for someone who's not as fortunate as us, that is his one meal. So when you look at it as a calorie count, dude, he's getting 300 calories from eating just sugar. The same thing military guys are also subjected to, right? They will ragadify you from an entire day. You come out from this heavy training, and the first thing that they'll give you is so there's a thing in the military which is called khade chammach ki chai. So the idea is you put sugar that much, when you put a spoon inside, the spoon is going to stand. And what do you get? You get sugar, you get milk, you get eggs. Very limited because you are at very different places in the terrain, right? So आपको यही basic मिल रहा है. So for you, nourishment is not the thing then. Giving your body fuel is the thing. So a lot of our society has evolved like this. So we have never questioned it. And now that we can, I think we should. That dialogue should always be there. That why is this happening? Why is this being like this? And that is the very sad reality. That, dude, you look at the kids nowadays, man. Like, what does it require to have mayonnaise? You need anda, you need mustard, you need some acid, you need some fat. So mayonnaise is done. But is mayonnaise a thing which French people have every day? No. They are going to have stewed vegetables, they are going to have roasted vegetables, they are going to have meat on the very simplest form, right? But for them, dining out is an experience. So it's gluttony, man. So when people are going to dine out, you are going to like go a little unhealthy to satisfy yourself. But that has become an everyday thing now. This packaged mayonnaises that you get, you just flip there's no one like you are making an edible product but which has only chemicals. How is that really possible? And there's no such thing as a veg mayonnaise. How in the world do you have a veg mayonnaise? Now, I also make a Caesar salad variant where I blend feta cheese with garlic or I'll blend your silken tofu. I'll put in mustard. I'll put in the rest of the ingredients the same. But I don't want to feed my people a lot of oil. But I figured out a different way to do it, which is better for you. Why would you want to just buy products and just look behind and realize it's shit? All we have to do is just look behind. Like one of my last videos, I named off a brand. It's very sad that they had to do it, man. They call it cold pressed mango juice. All right. You turn it around, 40% is mango pulp, man. Then they put in sugarcane juice and pineapple juice. And they're selling it as mango juice. But people can see, na? Why are people not reading what they're consuming? Like now we have a lot of people who have gluten allergies, which never existed in the country. People are getting lactose intolerant, which never happened in the country. Why is all of this happening? It's happening because we as a society have been only subjected to very bad produce. Say onion, for example, right? Can you imagine 2 rupees per kilo was the rate given to farmers? 2 fucking rupees. Why? Why does what are we not bloody consuming? Why can't we just create local marketplaces where farm यहाँ पे है, farm village में ही है ना, village तो खाएगा ना. So why can't we just create an ecosystem like that? Why do you have to be this horrible? And then once we are going to do this, contract farming is going to happen. They are going to ruin your soil. They are going to like read about the sad thing that happened to Punjab with the French fries production. Because a soil which was not meant to grow potatoes throughout are just growing potatoes because French fries companies are buying it. So you're ruining nature. And the more you get inside it, the more you'll start questioning everything. But yeah, people just have to see. I think people, and that's something that should come from inside, is what I realize. Things will only then change. But the society is designed in a way where we have to be ignorant. And that has worked, sadly.
Right. So, has social media truly expanded how chefs are understood today? Or has it flattened the depth of what good cooking actually means?
Well, it's good and bad both, yeah. To be very honest, social media has given platform to chefs. It has also given platform to talent. There's no doubt about it. Chefs nowadays have been looked at with a very respectable way, which never existed before. That has changed a lot. A lot of people now there's been a distinct one thing that I hate is not everyone's a chef. If you can cook food does not mean you're a chef. Chef is a very different ballgame altogether. One thing that I hate is now every Tom, Dick, and Harry who's cooking recipes on Instagram is calling them a chef. And a lot of them also create the dishes are bad, right? But and it's not just in India; it's a global thing.
Yeah.
I remember how very recently I saw this shit called chocolate shawarma. And like what they've taken a naked cake and they've placed it in the shawarma grill. They've left it up, turn out, make it crispy, shave the cake. You shave the cake, you'll put it on a pancake. Then you're going to put shitty chocolate sauce. Then you're going to put shitty jam. Then you're going to put cheese. And you're calling it shawarma. And people are going crazy. They're like, what the fuck? Like, okay, population should be controlled, but not like this. All right, and you're promoting shit, and people are going to come and eat shit. They're going to get diabetes and fucking heart attack soon, right? This is not a good way of controlling population. That is what I think. Right now, people who do the nudity that has come into cooking, man, like what I supposed to? Am I supposed to watch the girl? Am I supposed to watch this? Because clearly, anybody who's watching her is not watching the food for sure. They are going to wear lingeries and cook. that has ruined this. Then there's one more lady who put raw pasta with everything else and baked it. And that became a viral trend. And the problem is, so see, the bhircha thing has never changed. So one reel went viral. Some 100 idiots are going to do the same reel. And 10,000 other idiots are going to watch that. And they are going to think this is how food's supposed to be. Right? And they'll be like, yehi to hai. And then they're going to go to restaurant and say, this is not how this is made. This is how it is made. And then we are like, no. No, this is not the truth. So guys, come here. We'll make you understand what bloody food cooking is all about. So like, it has definitely given an insane boost. It has also given people livelihoods, no doubt about that. But I just don't want every Tom, Dick and Harry to call them a chef.
Yeah.
And one more thing that has to change, that just because I'm a chef, I do not know cooks for your house. I have friends give me a call and tell कि मेरे को घर पे खाना बनाने वाला कोई चाहिए, मैं उसको 12,000 देगा. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Like, I'm not Urban Company to give you that. उसको क्या करना चाहिए? उसको मैक्सिकन बनाना चाहिए. मैक्सिकन नहीं बोलते. आप उसको बोलना पहले सीखो. खाना तो बहुत दूर की बात है, bro. Like very recently, I saw some. Dude, I saw a thing called Gujarati sushi. I have nothing against the name. Right? मैं तो full pro है, dude. I am like, Indian restaurant, you go and eat outside the country, they have tweaked it to their needs.
Correct.
We will also fucking tweak it to our needs, bro. But not like this. Like, you know what they did? They took sushi rice, they put bundi, they put pyaz tomato, they put imli pudina chutney, then they put that dhokla ka sambaryo, and they rolled it, they cut it, and fucking loaded it as meetha chutney again. And I'm like, mad bolo na is why? And people are going to go and eat that. Right? So this how social media has also ruined it, but sometimes you get to see a lot of good creativity also. So you never know. It helps restaurants to have a conversation with people for sure. But then a lot of it is just sad. It is just sad. Dude, Uncle Roger made a bloody career out of commenting on shitty food. Can you imagine? He's a multi-millionaire now. That's what it is.
So, over time, how has your definition of good food evolved beyond just taste and presentation?
Dude, for me now it is just, I don't know the English. What do you call niyat in English?
Like intention, right?
Intention. Yeah.
Intention, yeah.
So now it is, for me, I can actually, when I go to restaurants and eat, I can understand the intention behind why the food has been cooked like that. Is the guy really giving two fucks about it or not? And now my definition of that, see, नमक ऊपर नीचे हो सकता है, man, big deal, right? Spice tolerance आपका ऊपर नीचे हो सकता है, not a big deal at all. But now that I've been cooking for so long and I know what real stuff tastes like, I will easily catch that, dude, this guy is into this for making money. He definitely has an illiterate guy heading the kitchen. The sad reality of Indian restaurants nowadays is, a majority of it that I'm talking about, of course, some of them who are still pioneers are there. And this same thing happened in America and Europe as well, is when corporates started running restaurants. Like a store manager will decide what ingredient will the kitchen get. Why? Because a store manager is going to go and tell the owner कि शेफ को ये कैन टमाटो चाहिए, बट ये 200 का है. मेरे को ये ब्रांड का कैन टमाटो मिल रहा है 100 रुपए का. But both of them are cuckoo when it comes to ingredients. So they are also not going to question कि price difference क्यों है. They are going to question P&L. ठीक है, मैनेजमेंट ने बोला है 100 रुपए वाला ही प्रोडक्ट जाएगा. And a lot of chefs have been subjected to this. They have also bowed down to it. बस सबको रोटी खाना है, bro, right? And then over a period of time, people who were once cooks, a lot of owners realize that they don't require educated chefs because खाना ही तो बनाना है. P&L I will run and सबको white sauce, red sauce pasta ही खाना है. सबको चिली पनीर ही खाना है, सबको चिली चिकन ही खाना है. तो ये सब बनाने के लिए मैं किसी एक अच्छे शेफ को लाख रुपया क्यों दूं? ये सब तो कोई 25,000 वाला बंदा भी काम कर लेगा. अब मैं बस उसको रिटेन करने के लिए आई विल से तू एग्जीक्यूटिव शेफ, तेरा सैलरी 50,000. That guy is like, I have it. And then that guy is going to switch jobs. And with the amount of restaurants that are opening, he's going to become an executive chef of a big place. And he's going to fuck that place. And that place is going to shut. One of the main reasons, besides understanding costs for restaurant to shut, I honestly believe is the people creating the product. Shittiest products, man. And I very rarely go to restaurants to eat, but I don't go restaurants for the cuisine. I will only go to the restaurant whose chef I know. Because मेरे को बंदा पता है कैसा है, and I know what he feels about food. And that shows, man. That shows in the flavor, it shows in the taste. The freshness speaks about it. A lot of people don't get it, but when you have been a part of that ecosystem, you get to know. So, Niyat, like honestly, dude, at Roxy, aisa, we don't do something which will blow people's minds away. I just do simple food, but I'm just honest about the food. Right? And it's honestly, it's just a 20% difference. Right? Like, everybody's going to serve butter chicken, but why should I be proud about the butter chicken that I make? It all falls to that. And when it comes to that, when you are honest to yourself, the honesty will come down to the food. And that will only get you the guests back, because that very small difference will create a butterfly effect, and it will go and create a memory in a guest's head. And that is honestly what my definition of good food is, that effort has to be put in. It cannot be like there are vendors who come with products to my restaurant, and now over a period of time they've realized that the purchase manager will only tell ki they will come with this ready-made packet pizza pasta sauce, and we want your chef to taste it. Earlier, the purchase manager did not know that please don't make such people meet me, because I tell it on their face, what are you selling, man? It's crap, it's poison, don't do this. One, to as a chef, will like, how can pizza pasta sauce be one thing? Two different products.
Yeah.
Right? Pizza ke sauce mein garlic nahi jata hai. Pasta mein garlic jata hai. How can it be the same bloody sauce? And then you know, if you taste it, it's supremely acidic. With the vinegar and acidity regulators and everything I have to put in there, it's fucking sour as fuck. Neither the pizza sauce has to be sour, neither the pasta sauce has to be sour. So I give it back to them. As like, I first tell them very nicely, yeah, bro, see, I don't believe in all of this. I don't even buy packaged mayonnaise in my restaurant. That's also made fresh. So, like, please don't get me this. But then the salesman, they, Arey sir, you know, this brand is buying. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if that brand is buying that or not. Then I go berserk, man. That's the sad part. Yeah. Where I go, because that guy is also a gada who's buying it. He's buying, that's also a gada. Just because 10 gadas are buying it, do you want me to be a gada? No, na. I'm telling you nicely, go. Don't do a salesman giri here.
Yeah.
Right? So now they have stopped sending such people to me, of course. But, okay, what was the question about? I forgot.
It's about like good food, basically. Like, how has your definition of good food evolved?
So like, I still go, like, if you go to these QSRs,
Yeah.
you get to know. But then my expectation is clear, ki bhai, yahan pe ye mil.
Correct.
Right? Where I very rarely go to. But that is that. So there are restaurants I know of also who do this, who will buy this sauce. But for them, this sauce is also expensive.
Yeah.
So they'll mix this sauce with sasta tomato to balance food cost and then give you crap. Yeah, like all of these pizza brand chains and everything.
Yeah.
Pastas are shit, man.
Correct.
But they are going to use that ready-made sauce and going to give you that. So I won't dine at such places. I'll tell you, always go, and if Chef Priyam is in town, I'll always go and have his food. Chef Pallavi from now, dude, her food is like, these are the chefs who I go to. While dining, I learn on how they have made this, and I get mind blown on how their brain works. So I'll go and only dine with chefs that I personally know. I'll never go and eat at a restaurant in a 5-star hotel until and unless there's Chef Massimo Bottura coming for there, or if it's Wabi Sabi, dude, that restaurant is insane how they've made it. So I just very pick and few places that I know will be honest about food.
My friend has this theory that I mean, I feel like I've come to believe it too now, that like every 5-star I've been to is just, if you take away like the infrastructure, the off like your Four Seasons or any, yeah, if you take away the ambience and you strip it down to the food, it cannot even like come, it cannot even come close to like your restaurant kind of food jo milta hai, right? Like again, like you know better about that, and based on what you've spoken to us, I think I firmly believe that now, and I understand why.
Yeah, see, okay, now here I'd like to just clarify two
Yeah.
things. See, food in 5-star hotels, to get you that star gradation, food is a service you'll have to provide. Not a lot of restaurants generate revenue for 5-star hotels. I'll be very
Yeah.
upfront and honest. They have to do that because to maintain the star status. Majority of their money will come through room bookings.
Yeah.
And it will come through events. So understand, it's again suits running the place. So when suits are running the place, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Then you are just going to provide a service based on that. अभी वो सेम किचन एक 1200 रुपए का पैकेज भी सर्व करेगा फूड का, वो सेम किचन एक 3600 वाला भी करेगा. The same kitchen will charge 5,000 per person. Now, depending on that rate, the food quality is going to change.
Yeah.
And that if you have breakfast buffets ever, the only thing which is very, very freshly made is eggs, is dosa, whichever she is being cooked live. Then a lot of the food is going to be like an assembly line from other restaurants. Like, if in my dinner buffet, for example, right, a soup is, I have a manchow soup, I have a hot and sour, I have a tomato shorba, I have a chicken shorba. Now, all of those are going to come from other kitchens. Like the shorbas will come from Indian specialty restaurant of that hotel. The Chinese food is going to come from the Chinese specialty restaurant from the hotel. And then it's just going to be assembled there and kept hot. So therefore, you should not even look at it. But if you go to, say, specialized restaurants, then they work very differently. Say a Le Cirque, for example, impeccable. It's also, and those are like the crown jewels, na. So the suits are also going to be like, chalega, iska food cost 50% and no problem. Why? Because this is bringing a brand prestige to us. It's fine. So those places, the experience is going to be impeccable. But not, honestly, not because everybody is going to make money. A restaurant, and especially in Bangalore restaurants, if you go and see, they flipped the game, man. They flipped. When bigger establishments, like I remember Big Brewski Henur when it had launched, and the party sales, when it was told to a hotel guy, he was like, what? This is the revenue you're generating here. And it broke. It broke this entire hawa that people had about hotels. Is then they realized that we will give the guests the best service. So like in liquor bottles, you will get a lot of free stocks as marketing. Now, what 5-star hotels will do is they will not pass that um, benefit to the guests. They're going to keep that FOC also, and they're still going to charge you 900 rupees for a royal stack, for example. But here, restaurants will pass on that to the guests, and you will have the same drink at 250. So it's just the ecosystem which is very different, and the offering is very different. You go to 5-star hotel to just feel nice. You go to restaurants to belt. That's the difference.
All right. So to wrap it off, let me ask you a very important question. Years from now, if someone understands just one thing differently about food because of your work, what do you hope that is?
Dude, I really want. So there are two things that I want to be known for in my life. One is a guy who sparked a conversation between the reality of the industry, the reality of the produce economy, the reality of farmers uh, to the world. And second, I want to be known for is if you see, you go on YouTube and you type filleting a salmon, you'll have millions of videos of everybody filleting a salmon. But go and type filleting a kingfish. There is no source of information on how to cook with Indian ingredients. That is something that I would really want to change in this world. Hopefully, if I get to do that, I'm working on it. Sometime down in the future, I'll definitely, you'll see me. Uh, my videos would majorly revolve around what Indian produce has to offer and how to cook it better because that's our reality, man. Why should there only be people cooking pastas? Why is there not somebody teaching you actually how to make a 10 kg dum biryani? That is what is missing in this world. That is what I would like to know for Ki. A guy who tried to just change something, create a little bit of impact. Then, like, how I want to also know is I'm a big fan of Anthony Bourdain. So I would love to be called the Indian Anthony Bourdain once, at least in my life. At least once. I don't want to be that ass saying, no, I don't want to be Anthony Bourdain. I want to be the first Viveq Pawar. Fuck that. Right? There are some things that I genuinely want to be known for, and I would love to be compared to is that guy. Yeah.
Do you mind if we keep that as the podcast title then?
What? The Indian Anthony
Yeah.
Bourdain?
Perfect.
Go for it. I don't mind. Oh, I just segued into this one. Very nice. Quite fun, man. Quite fun. But thank you guys for having me over, man.
Thank you, Chef.
It was quite fun, chill discussion.
Yeah, I think this is the most chill podcast ever.